Well, here we are, live with Linda.
Well, mostly we're alive now.
Mostly alive. Linda's on her phone because she was having some technical difficulties, and I was late, so that's why we're late.
Still going to be good because and I also told them that we're going to start at 5. So anybody that's jumping in late, um, we'll just remind them again later that they can start.
Well, let's see if there's anybody on. If anybody's on live right now, go ahead and say, "Hey, we're here," and
Yeah.
then we'll see you come up on the comments.
Uh,
So we'll start. We'll start in 5 minutes. We can talk for 3 minutes. That's not
no,
a big deal.
no, I think we'll just,
You want to dive in?
yeah, I think
Okay, well, let me ask you a question. So you were at this immunity. Oh, there, hold it. Hang on. There's somebody. There's
yeah.
Shannon. Hey, Shannon. Thanks for showing up. Sorry we're late. It's all Linda's fault. No, I'm just kidding. Thanks for showing up, Shannon. And so Linda, you were at a immunity. What was it you were at on the weekend? You were at some sort of event.
Yeah. Check this out. Check out how thick this book is. Oops. How is it? There.
Oh my gosh.
The title.
Immunity in the 21st century. Okay. COVID
Oh,
and beyond.
oh,
Oh, what kind of cool things did you learn?
serious stuff. Yeah.
Yeah?
And totally loved it. I looked really tired when I was doing I did it my first video in Instagram.
Oh, cool. On
Yeah.
Instagram. So you did a direct to video on Instagram. Very cool. Very cool. I haven't even done that.
Oh gosh, I really went out on a limb, but I probably looked like I went through the washing machine. But still, it was an intense weekend of a lot of information. Like my brain was just like over full.
Yeah.
Um, Tons of scientific stuff, scientific jargon, a great review. Um, my criticism is of the presentations were we needed more time to discuss. Okay, we've got our immune compromised or worried person or patient sitting in front of us in the office. And so, how do we start to look at and address those individuals? I think you could find A to Z information there because it's an art. It's an art to listening and and noticing things about the person
Hmm.
to help you find a starting point on helping them with their questions around their health.
Yeah. And and that's a good point because I do tons of consulting, and it takes time to figure out how do you uncover, and they may not even know what you need to uncover, and so it's a lot of times it's just asking questions that lead into other questions to be able to uncover issues that you're trying to find to be able to come up with some solutions. So it would be not unsimilar to what I'm doing when I'm doing mine as well. So yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Well, oh, you let them dribble on about their story. I mean, it is dribbling because they don't know where to start, and they think that they're wasting time in the office by um, saying, "Well, I don't know if this is helpful," but they just start, and I want to hear their whole story. I want to hear what's going on, what they've tried, what they started with in the past, what worked, what didn't work, what did their medical doctor have to say. So, wherever they start, it's great, and it doesn't need to be cohesive. And like you say, it's a starting point for more questions and investigation for me.
Yeah.
Um, End of the day, what we actually learned at this conference was just fantastic. So I sent out uh, a newsletter blast, and hopefully people will be attracted to come and watch the YouTube because I said, stop boosting the immune system. That is not what the focus needs to be. Guess what the focus is?
So what is the focus? I mean, so you go to this. I'm assuming this conference was all health related, but it sounds like it was also some techniques of how to uncover from your patients things that will help you to diagnose a little bit better. Is that kind of?
No, no, actually that wasn't the case,
Oh,
because
okay.
they didn't go into the management of how to get the most information from your patient. Unfortunately, that's something that comes with experience.
Right.
Although I think some of the new docs could have used a few hints there. Hard to say, don't really know. But what I did like was we jumped right into what immunity means now in the 21st century. What's the conversations out there that everybody is having about, it's not just about taking a bunch of supplements.
Mm,
Kind of a random, well, I heard, let's go through them right now, Gary. Everybody talks about vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin, like zinc.
yeah.
That's um, a supplement also is NAC. So what are you doing with these, and is it really helping my immune system? Well, guess what, folks, they aren't.
Really?
It isn't helping your immune system directly. It's addressing, let's talk about it properly. Some of those things are helping your leaky gut. Oh, how does the leaky gut have any? Well, it's the basis of one of the main barriers to the outside world. Next to our skin, it's then our gut and our lungs. Like, we inhale things from our environment. So what are we inhaling? We're inhaling all the bugs, the parasites, the viruses, the mold, everything on the planet.
Yeah.
So how do we enhance our barriers to work efficiently is what we got to do.
Right.
So that's why I say stop thinking about boosting your immune system. Start thinking, how can I be healthier?
Right. Right. So, is it a thought change then in your practice where this was old school and now we're kind of shifting, or is this stuff that you already knew? It's just it reinforced what you already knew. Is that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
what we already knew. It's just a twist to get that out to the public to
Uh,
understand that they need to work on their personal health. Like, um, you can do preventative things. So, name it. There's all kinds of prevention. Wearing the masks. How about when you go to the swimming pool, wearing thongs in the shower room? But at the end of the day, I don't wear thongs in the shower room because it's not about the bacteria clinging to my feet. Because guess what? You can wear all the heaviest, dutiest thong on your feet, sandals, that are not going to keep the bugs away from you. They're still going to splash up on you. You're going to inhale them, all kinds of things. So I
and
try.
and and for those who don't know, thongs are flip flops for you younger people. That just tells how old Linda and I are, because I knew exactly what she was talking about.
Oh, not the thong that you wear when you're doing
No,
pole dancing thongs.
that's right, right, right. We're talking about flip flops here. Yeah,
So yeah, in the swimming pool area, it's not about being afraid of the warts you're going to get because somebody else with warts just walked by that puddle with
right.
puddle, um, on the locker room floor. You've got to be more comprehensive in your thinking. So that's where we're taking everybody in the 21st century.
Right. So it's more of an education to the public than anything else. From what, if I understand what you're saying, it's more of an education of the public, helping the public see things a little bit more clearly. Would I be accurate in saying that, or
No, not the
no?
public. It's my people.
Well, your people. I mean, your patients, right?
My patients, and the purpose of the conference was, of course, on a more technical scale, but I realized at the conference that what we need to emphasize to be able to apply what I've learned at the conference or already knew, is we need to emphasize to people that they have to look at their overall health differently when it's coming to, like right now there's all kinds of new viruses and variants that is being publicized through the media. There always will be, there always has.
Yeah.
This is nothing new. It's what is new is how we need to deal with it. And it's not about simple things like, oh, I have to eat or drink pH balanced water. I have to. What are the things? Is it a keto diet? Is it a paleo diet? Should I be hanging from the rafters and sleeping upside down for 3 hours every night? I mean, you you can sort of come up with all kinds of gimmicks and gadgets and pills and drugs and you name it to combat the creepies. But at the end of the day, you have to be healthy, and there are some specific things to that you can do. I mean, there are modifiable, as they called them in this presentation. And now I think my phone's going to run out of juice. There are modifiable deficiencies, shall we say, and I'll have to plug this in somehow and keep this going. So here we go. Are you there?
No, where are you? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I can see you.
Oh, smarty. Okay, so anyways, here we are. I don't know how I'm going to support this, but here it is. We have different things that we need to instill into our diet so that we get enough. Here they are. Vitamin D, either through a supplement, which most people are required to do.
Mm-hmm.
There's no getting away from that. Vitamin C, which is an antioxidant, which reduces our oxidative stress because we have too much stress, for one thing.
Yes.
And we burn through the vitamin C. It becomes a deficiency pattern, even if you think you're eating enough in a bucket of oranges. Can I try doing it this way? Oh, fantastic. That works. So vitamin C, even if you're eating a bucket of oranges every day, and if you have a high stress level, you're going to burn through milligrams of that to be able to sustain a proper functioning mucosa of the digestive tract, support all those wonderful cells, the killer cells, the natural killer cells, the white blood cells, all those things that consume parasites, bacteria, viruses that are around you all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So that is kind of the premise. So having enough vitamin C has been shown that it's been a deficiency in those that have been hospitalized, that have managed to come down with COVID-19 and are struggling. So when they ran blood tests, they found that vitamin D, vitamin C, and omega-3s are deficient in a lot of these individuals. And that can be because we've got highly processed diets and snacking on things that just are not nutrient dense. So
Yeah.
that's the big issue. We have to stop focusing on looking like we're immune boosting, but actually focused and becoming healthier people.
Right. Right.
How's that
And
grab?
sounds good. And lay off the Twinkies.
Lay off the Twinkies, yeah. So, the basic skills in becoming healthier is all about, of course, the upregulation of the sympathetic nervous system is the technical way of saying trigger points of disease that have always been associated to big stressors in people's lives. So when you're under stress, you're more predisposed to having a weaker system that's just trying to keep you operable in times of coping or, stressful situations. You're burning up all your nutrients, and having a variety of hormones released in the system that promote inflammation, which your body also has to use more energy to combat and settle and calm that down.
Right.
Otherwise, then it opens the door to not the bugs, because they're already there. It's just they then start to proliferate because other parts of your system are not in balance. And that's what they take advantage of.
That totally makes sense. That totally makes sense. The bugs have been there all the time. It's just whether they can actually breach the wall to go and do the damage, right? And that's really what we're talking about here. That's really interesting. Never thought of it that way. That we always think of catching something. Well, it's already there, like you're saying. It's just a matter of where's our health. It's kind of like you were talking the other day, or last week or the week before, where we were talking about with allergies, and you have this load, and I don't know what I know it's a load, but it's kind of a susceptibility load or whatever, and if it's high enough, then you're going to have allergies, but if it's lower, you're not going to notice it as much, and I think, isn't that similar to what you're kind of describing?
Yes, it was the load of bacteria,
Load of bacteria.
viruses, fungus, all of these things that they are actually, from what I understood in this program, and had me thinking way more, is they are running the show. So we might think we're doing well, but if they decide to change our DNA to suit their environment, that was something else. There were studies coming out that said that viruses will actually use the bacteria in your body to code things to suit them. So they will use a bacteria as a host and then replicate their numbers as viruses, because they've now taken over. Like
This sounds like a science fiction movie here, and don't be afraid, everyone. It's not as scary as you think, but when you mention it that way, it's like, oh my gosh, the aliens are coming.
The aliens are coming, yes. And well, they're living amongst us. It's just keeping them in check is the trick, and awareness of how to do that. And glutathione is another really important aspect of keeping our mitochondria healthy, which then in turn keep us healthy and provide us with lots of good energy. And glutathione is affected by high demand. So, what is it having to do in our liver that to help eliminate toxicity that's being created by all these bacteria and viruses that have got an out of place or out of, the wrong numbers to then give us symptoms, because that's what it comes down to. Most cancers can be actually now questioned as to whether it's just been some virus and bacteria that's gone bad.
Wow.
So moving into the 21st century, this is where we're starting to understand how we need to focus care.
Yeah. Wow. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, and naturopathic doctors have always had this was one of the main distinguishing factors between the route that medicine started to take back at the beginning, like in the early 1900s. The Flexner Report and the Rockefeller Institute and a few other people started funding research differently. So the naturopathic doctors hung on to their value system as what is the environment these things are growing in, whereas the other avenue went down, how can we kill these things? I think that was in my mind when we were studying this, was the dividing point of how to look at our health.
Yeah, and that's quite a distinction between the two as well. Like, and that kind of makes a lot of sense when you start looking at both sides of the street, with respects to health. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So the environment of our lungs, the environment of our mucosa. So, I understand how people have focused on mask wearing to prevent exposure to the mucosa membrane of our nose, but the nose is also designed in a way to filter and provide mechanisms of catching all these bacteria and viruses as well. So, you could say it was a double whammy of protection, but at
Hmm.
the end of the day, if those um, intrusions are proliferating in numbers and your system isn't able to cope with it because it's deficient in nutrients or
Hmm.
you have high stress, this is how it becomes an issue. So, um, is it balanced in the way we're approaching things? And you can't sort of rely only on one area of avoidance. You also have to do the other side of the equation of improvement.
Right, right.
I
That
think
makes
that makes
sense.
sense.
Yep,
Yeah.
that totally makes sense. Totally makes sense.
Another point that was brought up in the conference was that dehydration in the elderly may have been one of the number one causes of concern for protecting them and their immunity. we
What was that about the hydration?
Yes. So everything works better when it's hydrated, including our brains.
Yeah, yeah. Always have a jug of water beside you.
No, you have to do it the Aussie way. Remember, you have to drink 500 mils at one go, no sipping.
That's right.
Oh gosh, I don't
That's
know how
right.
many times I have to repeat myself with that. From now on, I'm going to have a hit the play button. So
Yeah.
sipping doesn't work, folks. You have to drink like at least a cup at a time,
Yeah.
and get used to.
Usually I have a bigger one than this, and I'll chug down half of it, and then I'll chug down the other half. But I'm sipping today.
Oh, yeah, I know. Well, and we're entitled to do that. It's just that if we're down already, whoops, if we're, if,
Only live here on Live with Linda.
isn't it great? Yeah, because
It's,
now I'm looking in my book because
yeah.
there's so many cool things that I can talk about in here about the important things to know about otitis media, for instance, as an infection. It's a common childhood, complaint. So where is this coming from, and what is the best way to avoid our kids getting ear infections? And common things would be, well, the bugs aren't going away. Remember, they're always there. And
Yeah.
it's tipping points that create them. So when I see young kids running around in our temperate climates without hats on or protecting their throats, that's when I cringe, because you're adding more stress to the system. So the system becomes busy with trying to keep warm,
Hmm.
and then you've got them also trying to keep the bugs number under control.
Right,
So
right.
you've added one more stressor to this. And there's just so many things. I could just go on and on about it. I just love um, being around everyone of my tribe that understands that there's more to all of it than what we've been focusing on.
Yeah, yeah. I like how you framed that these things have always been here. You think that, oh, this is just came upon me, and I like what you said, that it's always there. It's just whether you can handle it or not.
Okay, but here's the thing about viruses. Um, when you specifically try to target how to deal with and not just a virus, a bacteria too, they're smart. So if you create a substance or something that is only going to address a part of that we understand. So, for instance, the cell wall, the
Hmm.
protein spike, their cytoplasma. If you're selecting a drug that only looks after that, the next generation of viruses and bugs have figured out some other way that they can keep on playing video games.
Mm.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of these things lose A lot of things lose their effectiveness
Right.
um, as time moves on because
Right.
they've now figured out a new way to move around that particular problem or deficiency that's now threatened their future life.
Right. Right. Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, and I would imagine that we're, scratching the surface to a certain degree with all of this information too, right? As far as the complexity of all of these things and how they interact.
Well, that's why I say I wouldn't mind doing a part two on Saturday. People can certainly contact me and say, hey, will you talk about this in particular?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to, mitochondrial support is kind of the new buzzword. We've kind of moved away from microbiome,
Yeah, okay.
and there was good mention of the viome. So the viome is all about the good viruses. We actually have good
Right.
viruses in our body as well.
Right.
So we're moving out of discussions around that. Doesn't mean they're still not important, but our mitochondrial function may be something that we decide to focus more so on Saturday,
That would be
and
interesting.
give people some current understanding of where the focus is. I'm just flipping through here about the kids and their skin and lungs. So even having bacteria on your hands can then start to affect through the skin. You become infected, and then it will affect your lung health. This is well known in traditional Chinese medicine because there's a link between their understanding of 5,000 plus years. If you want to argue with them, go ahead. I
Yeah,
figure they've got a pretty good track record,
for
but
sure.
we're now with scientific evidence starting to see that and understand that, not so much see it,
Yeah.
but we understand that connection, and we don't need to say that we've reinvented the wheel, for
Yeah.
heaven's sakes.
Yeah.
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 So
Very cool.
that's kind of how we're all going. I still want to focus the most on having a good diet and cleaning up the leaky gut. Leaky gut is created by our stress as well as our poor food. So both of those things go hand in hand to create and holes, you could say, in our major barrier to infections, which is
Interesting.
the lining of our stomach and intestinal tract. So another mention that was there, and I want to emphasize this too, was appreciating viruses that go dormant and then they show up again. So an
Mm.
example of that are cold sores.
Yeah. I was just thinking that as soon as you said it, I was thinking cold sores. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're always there. They never go away. So what is it that triggers that for us? And everybody can claim that it's different for them. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to be sunlight or wind exposure or temperature extremes. The bottom line is it's a stressful event on the body. So
Right.
can even be several days of not getting enough sleep, and then that person happens to develop their cold sore issue.
Right. Right.
So when we talk about long-term symptoms of anything, so people are talking about long haul COVID. It's not long haul anything. I mean, you don't go around saying it's long haul cold sores. I mean, this is a serious expansion of that same virus. And COVID-19 has all of its deleterious type symptoms and side effects for various people because it is still alive and well in your body and having ramifications there. And there's huge lines of symptoms that different people will experience.
Right.
And to say that you're going to be COVID free in 2 weeks is unrealistic for most people.
Yeah.
And your main symptoms of the congestion and the cough and the sore throat and maybe some gastro symptoms might be gone,
Right.
but there's lingering effects. So why does that happen? And that's just the viral lifespan in this particular situation. So if you're down still 3, 4, 6 months later, it's because there are other underlying factors you have yet to address
Right.
to raise your health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can attest to that because when I got COVID back in September 2020, I would get chills every now and again. At least once, maybe twice a month, I'd get chills, and I haven't had chills for a while now. Since we changed some of the stuff that I'm taking, I haven't had. Now that I'm thinking of it, I haven't had chills probably for at least maybe 2 months even.
Yeah.
So, but I was getting them, at least at least 2 times a month. I would get where I would just get the chills for no reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I see what you're saying about having the right health things kind of start dealing with that load that allows you to have that symptom come back up.
There's
That's
kind of
cool.
a weird noise in the background that sounds like a zipper zipping and unzipping. I don't know what that is, but
That was
yeah,
me.
that's okay. You. Oh my
Sorry about
goodness.
that.
So I thought it was a great conference. I think it's important for people to start looking at immunity differently. I I want to say that the Mediterranean diet won out in my books as a discussion piece over the weekend. Short term, you might want to do elimination diets if you have allergies, or you're trying to lose some weight, or what you feel is working for you. But the emphasis went to, if you're still needing to be on a very restricted diet, clearly the bugs have managed to win and are keeping you restricted.
Yeah.
You need to get beyond not being able to digest or tolerate at some point. It's a really good example of how you're not there yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And what can you do to continue working on it? So the Mediterranean diet, de-stress, covering off on some specific vitamins and nutrients, and how do I address underlying health issues that aren't necessarily being identified in our current healthcare system.
Right.
A lot of these minor symptoms are great tip-offs for naturopathic doctors, whereby the regular medical system tends to just brush them off and wait until things get worse, and then
Yeah.
they're happy to deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. That totally makes sense. Well,
So
I guess you'll be putting some stuff together for Saturday then to kind of extrapolate on that. So if anyone has some topics that you would like Linda to maybe touch on for this upcoming live stream, might be a good idea to shoot her a message, and so that she can kind of put that all together. I think this was very informative of how we look at things based on how you've described it today. For me, it was like, they're always there. It's just a matter of, are they winning or are you winning over this battle? And so it's interesting to put things into proper perspective so that we can kind of get our health where it needs to be, right?
yeah, completely. It's preventative health you want to focus on into the future. So the 21st century should really be plain about that.
Yeah.
When you're getting advice from your healthcare practitioners, doesn't matter who it is, they need to be showing you ways to improve or maintain what you have as we age, as we play, as we go through difficult periods of work. How do I maintain myself, as opposed to, well, let's just wait and it's a dark process and
Yeah.
throw it against the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, makes sense. Well, that's good. Any final things you want to say before we wrap up?
Nope, it's all good. Make sure you
Nope.
drink your water.
This is the plug for today. Challenge,
Plug for
invitation, drink water, lots of it, and not sipping it.
And sorry everybody about all the technicality stuff. It's it's a live program. We try to do our best, and sometimes there's just a few glitches, and life goes on. And
That's right. That's right.
so are
But
we added to your stress?
exactly. But hopefully you've gleaned something out of this conversation, because I definitely have, especially on how I look at things. So I appreciate that, Linda.
Great.
All right, everyone. Have yourself a good evening. We'll see you on the next live stream. Take care. All the best.
See ya.
Bye.